The story begins in the heart of the Kalahari Desert, where the land stretches vast and empty, under a sky that burns bright during the day and chills to the bone at night. The people of Tholoana village had long lived under the protection of their warriors, but none were as fierce or as beloved as Tholoana, the princess of their tribe. From a young age, Tholoana was different from other girls. She was strong, faster than her peers, and had a mind that could see strategies in ways that confounded even the most experienced warriors. But Tholoana was not just a fighter. She was also beautiful, with skin like the smooth sand of the desert at dusk and eyes that gleamed like the moonlit night. Her presence was commanding, and her beauty, though striking, only added to the awe she inspired in her people. Yet, for all her strength, Tholoana carried the burden of expectation. As a woman in a world where men were often the ones to lead, she knew she had to prove herself time and again. Her father, the chief, was proud of her, but he also worried. He had seen the way the warriors looked at Tholoana, some with admiration, others with jealousy. He knew that for all her power, the path ahead of her was fraught with dangers, not just from outside enemies, but from within the tribe itself. One day, a rumor spread through the village. Far to the north, a powerful rival tribe, the Baralong, had begun to make moves toward their land. They were fierce and ruthless, led by a warlord named Kosi, a man known for his cruelty and ambition. He had conquered villages one by one, his army growing with each victory. Now, his eyes were set on Tholoana. Tholoana knew that this threat was unlike any they had faced before. The Baralong were known for their brutality, and Kosi was a leader who did not know the meaning of mercy. She could see the fear in her father's eyes, in the eyes of the council, and even in the eyes of the warriors she had trained alongside. But Tholoana did not fear Kosi. She respected him as an enemy, but she believed in her people and in her own abilities to protect them. The council convened to discuss their options. Some argued that they should try to negotiate with Kosi, offering him tribute to spare their village. Others believed they should flee deeper into the desert, abandoning their home to escape the warlord's wrath. But Tholoana stood before them all, her head held high, and said, "We will not run, and we will not bow. We are not cowards, and this land is ours. If Kosi wants it, he will have to take it from us by force." Her words stirred the hearts of the warriors, and they began to rally behind her. But not all were convinced. Among the warriors was a man named Ralibo, a skilled fighter who had always resented Tholoana's rise to power. He was envious of the respect she commanded, and he saw this as his opportunity to challenge her leadership. "Tholoana speaks of bravery," Ralibo said, stepping forward, "but what does she know of war? She may be strong, but she is still a woman. This is not a battle for women to fight. Let the men handle this." The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to Tholoana. She did not flinch. Instead, she looked Ralibo in the eye and said, "I know more of war than you can imagine. I have trained alongside you, bled alongside you, and fought beside you. If you believe I am not fit to lead, then prove it. Face me in combat, and let the gods decide who should protect this village." Ralibo hesitated. He had seen Tholoana fight, and he knew she was formidable. But his pride would not allow him to back down. The challenge was set, and the entire village gathered to watch the duel. The fight was fierce, and it became clear from the first clash of blades that Tholoana was not to be underestimated. She moved with the grace of a dancer, her strikes precise and powerful. Ralibo was strong, but he lacked her speed and agility. As the battle wore on, it became apparent that Tholoana was in control. With a final, sweeping blow, she disarmed Ralibo and knocked him to the ground. Standing over him, she held her blade to his throat and said, "You may question my leadership, but do not question my strength." Ralibo yielded, and from that day forward, no one dared to challenge Tholoana's authority. The warriors rallied behind her, and under her command, they prepared for the coming battle against Kosi and the Baralong. As the days passed, Tholoana worked tirelessly to fortify their defenses. She devised strategies that took advantage of the terrain, setting traps and ambushes that would weaken the enemy before they even reached the village. She also worked to boost the morale of her people, reminding them of their strength and resilience. But as the day of the battle drew near, Tholoana found herself plagued by doubt. She had always been confident in her abilities, but the weight of responsibility was heavy. She knew that the lives of her people rested in her hands, and the fear of failure gnawed at her. On the eve of the battle, Tholoana stood alone on a ridge overlooking the village. The desert stretched out before her, vast and unforgiving. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale light over the land. She closed her eyes and let the wind carry away her fears. She thought of her ancestors, the warriors who had come before her, and she drew strength from their legacy. When the sun rose the next morning, Kosi's army appeared on the horizon, a dark mass of warriors advancing across the desert. The people of Thamega stood ready, their faces set with determination. Tholoana stood at the front, her spear in hand, her heart steady. The battle was brutal. The Baralong were fierce, but Tholoana's strategies paid off. The traps and ambushes weakened the enemy forces, and the warriors of Thamega fought with the ferocity of lions. Tholoana herself was a whirlwind on the battlefield, her spear flashing in the sun as she cut down enemy after enemy. In the midst of the chaos, Tholoana found herself face to face with Kosi. He was a giant of a man, his body covered in scars from countless battles. But Tholoana was not intimidated. She faced him with the same calm determination that had guided her throughout the battle. Kosi charged at her, his axe raised high, but Tholoana was ready. She dodged his fast strike and countered with a swift blow to his side. The warlord staggered but did not fall. He swung his axe again, but Tholoana was too quick. She danced around him, striking with precision and avoiding his powerful but clumsy attacks. With a final thrust, Tholoana drove her spear into Kosi's chest. The warlord gasped, his eyes wide with shock, and then he fell to the ground. The battle was over. The Baralong, seeing their leader defeated, fled into the desert, leaving the people of Thamega victorious. Tholoana stood over Kosi's body, her chest heaving with exertion, but her heart filled with pride. She had protected her people not just with strength, but with strategy and courage. As the warriors of Thamega gathered around her, cheering her name, Tholoana knew that she had earned her place as both a warrior and a leader. But she also knew that the journey was far from over. There would be more battles to fight, more challenges to face. Yet, for the first time in a long time, Tholoana felt at peace. She had proven herself not just to her people, but to herself. And as long as she had the strength and the will to fight, she knew that she could protect her village from whatever dangers lay ahead.